Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva. Nittai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nittai Gaur Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jayom Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivagacharya Ashtor Sri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jayom Nitya Lila Pavishta Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivagacharya Ashtotar Sri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Sri Laharidas Thakur ki jai. Sri Rupa Shishanatan Bhatta Raghunath Sri Jeeva Gopal Bhatta Dasa Raghunath Sad Goswami Prabhu ki jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि घोर भक्त वृंद कीजिए श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण को गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड कुंड गिरि गोदान कीजिए ब्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम कीजिए नवदीप मायापुर धाम कीजिए जगन्नाथपुरी धाम कीजिए गंगामाई जमुनामाई कीजिए श्रीमती तुलसी देवी भक्ति देवी कीजिए सामवेद भक्त वृंद कीजिए ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवत महापुराण कीजिए ताई गौर प्रेमानंदे all glorious assembled devotees. Glorious assembled devotees, all glorious assembled devotees, all glorious Sri Guru, Sri Gauranga. Hare Krishna, everybody can come closer. We are all friends here. There is no animosity here. And coronavirus is subdued somewhat, so don't fear. Distance is not required. So I'll speak in English, if it's okay, because Hindi is not my language. So. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this verse is number 19 on the board?
From 14 till 19 is on the board.
19 on the board, okay. So I will read the verses from 14 till we get to 19. Then we will try and understand the subject matter which has been discussed this morning in the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is 3rd Canto, chapter 18, chapter entitled The Battle Between Lord Boar and Hiranyaksha. So text 14, translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami Prabhupada. Hissing indigently, all his senses shaken by wrath, the demon quickly sprang up. The demon quickly sprang up upon the Lord and dealt him a blow with his powerful mace. Text 15. The Lord, however, by moving slightly aside, dodged the violent mace blow aimed at his breast by the enemy, just as an accomplished yogi would elude death. There's a short purport by Srila Prabhupada. The example is given herein that the perfect yogi can overcome a death blow, although it is offered by the laws of nature. It is useless for a demon to beat the transcendental body of the Lord with powerful mace, for no one can surpass his prowess. Those who are advanced transcendentalists are freed from the laws of nature, and even the death blow cannot act upon them. Superficially, it may be seen that the yogi is attacked by the death blow, but by the grace of the Lord, he can overcome many such attacks for the service of the Lord. As the Lord exists by his own independent powers, by the grace of the Lord, the devotee also exists for his service. Text 16. The personality of Godhead now exhibited his anger and rushed to meet the demon, who beat his lip in rage, took upon his mace again and began to repeatedly bandish it about. Text 17. Then, with his mace, the Lord struck the enemy on the right of his brow. But since the demon was expert in fighting, O gentle Vidura, he protected himself by maneuvering his own mace. Text 18. In this way, the demon Hiranyaksha and the Lord, the personality of Godhead, struck each other with their huge maces, each enraged and seeking his own victory. Prabhupada is clarifying here, because in the verse it is mentioned Harayaksha. So Prabhupada is saying that Harayaksha is another name for Hiranyaksha, the demon. So he was called by two different names. So there should be no confusion, because sometimes in our mundane understanding, we may speculate that there is a mistake in the Shastra. Shastra is never a mistake, because it is perfection given by the Lord himself. So this is text 19, which is on the board. Toya Spridos Tigma Gada Hatha Angayo Sata Aswarav Grahana Vivridha Manyao Vichitra Margan Karata Jigishaya Vibhat Ilayam Iva Susmina Mridha. So excuse me, I am not a Sanskrit scholar, so I may not sing in the right meter, but the understanding is that we are trying to understand what the Srimad Bhagavatam is explaining us about the transcendental pastimes of Lord Varaha and Hiranyaksha. Toya sprasatigma gadahanta gayana. Sata swara grahana vidha manya. Vichitra marganam charata jignasya. Vyavad ilayam iva susminor murdha. So, any Sanskrit scholars here can sing the meter? I said, any Sanskrit scholar who can sing the meter properly? Hare Krishna, this cannot be possible. You are all born Indians, you should be familiar with your language. Okay, no problem. Toya, them, spridhav of the two combatants, Tigma, pointed, Gada, by the maces, Ahata, injured, Angayao, their bodies, Sata Asravya, blood coming out from the injuries, Grana, smell, Vivridha, increased, Manyavyo, anger, Vichitriya, of various kinds, Margan, maneuvers, Karata, performing, Jigisya, with the desire to win, Vyabhat, it looked like, Ilyam, for the sake of a cow or the earth, Eva, like, Susmina, the two bulls, Mrudha, encounter. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami Prabhupada. There was keen rivalry between the two combatants. Both had sustained injuries on their bodies from the blows of each other's pointed maces, and each grew more and more enraged at the smell of the blood on his person. In his eagerness to win, they performed maneuvers of various kinds, and their contest looked like an enraged counter between two forceful bulls for the sake of a cow. Purport. Here, the earth planet is called Ila. This earth was formerly known as Ilavrata Varsha. When Maharaj Parikshit ruled the earth, it was called Bharatvarsha. Actually, Bharatvarsha is the name of the entire planet. But gradually Bharatvarsha has come to mean India. As India has recently been divided into Pakistan and Hindustan, similarly the earth was formerly called Ilavarta Varsha, but gradually as time passed, it was divided by national boundaries. Om Jnana Trimandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshus Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Vanchakalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyo Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So this is very interesting pastime of the Lord in His multiple incarnation. In this case, He incarnated as a boar. Now one can imagine, how can someone who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead be a boar? Because in our mundane understanding, at least those who accept that there is a personality of Godhead who is supreme. Now once you have that concept that yes, there is someone who is a higher being, more superior to us, he is a supreme. And of course, in Oxford English Dictionary, they say God means the one who has no second, is only himself. God is unique. There is no second to God. So if someone who is a Supreme Personality of Godhead, how can he appear to take a form of a boar? So of course, in our imperfection and our covered condition, as Srila Prabhupada many times used the phrase, that we have been covered by the illusionary energy since the beginning of our existence as individual living entities. And Prabhupada many times also emphasized that he has specifically appeared for one purpose and only one purpose, and that is to reawaken your lost consciousness and your original Swarupa of Jivere Swarupa Hoy, Nitya Krishna, that you are eternally servant of Krishna. And because you forget that you are a servant of Krishna, at the same time, Krishna also explains in the Bhagavad Gita that we are his parts and parcel. Mamaya Vansa Jiva Bhuta Jiva Sanatan, that we are parts and parcel of Krishna. So, once we have established this fact, then Krishna reveals himself to us. And his magnificent expansions, his multifarious pastimes of how he appears in this material world to participate in different pastimes, different leelas, to enjoy. Because the Supreme Lord has got the most transcendental enjoying spirit. He is the topmost enjoyer. So sometimes we in our tiny little brains and tiny little spark, what we call the jiva, is thinking also that potency of enjoying. I don't think there is one living entity, whether in the human form or any other form, is not having this propensity to enjoy. They all want to enjoy. But where is this propensity of enjoying come from? It's coming from the Supreme Lord. As Srila Prabhupada very nicely explains in the Bhagavad Gita 2nd chapter, that we are all parts and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and therefore we are exactly same in quality as the Supreme Lord. There is no difference between the Supreme Lord and us as living entities, but there is a vast difference in quantity. The example for our tiny little brains to comprehend this concept is that you look at the vast ocean and then you take one drop of water. In quality, the water, one drop of water is same as the ocean. But what ocean can do, the drop of water cannot do. The large ocean can drown or sink big, giant ships. But a tiny drop of water cannot. But we, under illusion, thinking that I can control everything. And that is why we are trying to become supreme enjoyers. And in order to enjoy, you have to have power over the other person or everything else. So Prabhupada coins the phrase, loading it over material energy. So we all have this propensity to load it over material energy. And as long as you come to that platform of loading over someone, then you have that power as thinking, yes, I am in control, I can enjoy this. Now there are of course different ways to enjoy things. Not necessarily every enjoyment is the same. For example, you can enjoy good friendship. You can enjoy a relationship with a male and female. You can enjoy a relationship with nature, and multifarious way you can enjoy. There's so many different enjoyments, but the propensity is there to enjoy. So when we want to enjoy, then we have to load over everything. So here, the Lord has taken the form of a boar. Now, specifically why? Because we understand by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada that he has revealed the secrets of Srimad Bhagavatam to us. in the language which we can understand. So by mercy of Prabhupada, Srimad Bhagavatam is not just translated into English, but multifarious languages of the world. So there is not one person who can say that I have no access to this transcendental knowledge. Everybody has access to this knowledge. And through our spirit of Sankirtan movement, Prabhupada established this very fundamental principle of Sankirtan, of book distribution. So he distributes books to everyone. And as Srila Prabhupada, a pure devotee of the Lord, here in Delhi, he was going around tea stalls and giving out one-page Back to Godhead magazines in those days. And then slowly he was printing books, and he was giving out books. And of course, we will not go into the history, but Prabhupada then, he made that transcendental leap from India and across the Atlantic and went to New York. And there then he said, I am going to save this world. And he became the transcendental carrier of this message and established Krishna consciousness. So, in the same way, this Hiranyaksha was thinking, I am so powerful. Now, he had tremendous powers, no doubt, and he had the mystic powers. He could become so large. Unfortunately, we don't have the power of become large unless you are obese, then you become large. But that largeness is not very healthy. So, Hiranyaksha was thinking, I am so powerful, that he was masquerading all over the universe. And of course, as we know from the pastimes of this particular Leela, that he sunk the planet Earth, Bhumi Devi, at the bottom of the ocean. Now, to retrieve the planet Earth again, the Lord took his transcendental form as a boar. Now, of course, sometimes we have a misconception. When we see a boar, we think some hogs in at least Delhi I don't see any, but in Vrindavan we see many. Yeah, okay. So, the Lord is not a hog, but it's the same species. Yeah, so, we should not get an illusion that the Lord became a boar. He did not become a boar. He was actually a very ferocious animal, a boar, with big tusks. And if you have seen the real boar and not the so-called hogs, then you know the difference. The boar is very, very powerful animal. You know. Of course, I don't know if you have seen them in India, but I have experience of seeing them in the country of my birth, in Africa. You know, when we go for just a short drive outside the city and you are into the forest, jungles, and you see the boars all running around. And they are very ferocious animals. Anyway, the point is that they have got a huge task. And in order to retrieve the earth, the Lord took this form. And he brought the earth back up and put it back into his planetary system. Now you can imagine how much powerful force it requires to dislodge a planet from its planetary movements. And this is not by some mundane powers. These are transcendental powers by the Lord, because this whole universe is created by the Lord. And he has placed all different planets in specific places, and their movement is very particular. It is not random movement. It is a very, very particular movement. Now, in order to understand how the universe is moving in a very, very precision way, is that you look at, of course, this is not a good example. You look at a regular watch, and inside there are multiple parts, and each part is working in unison, and it's keeping the time, minute, second, hours perfectly. It is not that one day, you get 60-second minute, and another day you get 90-second minute. No, it is precise. Everything is very precise. So even the planetary movements are very precise. The Earth planet as you all know now, is going around the sun, takes 365 days. It's very precise. Now to dislodge this whole earth from his orbit is not an easy task. It takes some really power. So Hiranyaksha was quite a powerful person, that he can dislodge the earth from his orbit. But then the Lord was not happy with this. So he is then coming in the form of the boar, and he lifts the earth out and replaces back in his original position. Because the Lord, as we understand now from our explanation of philosophical conclusions from the Acharyas, is that the universe, the material universe is created for what purpose? Anybody has answer to that? What is the purpose of creating material universe? Because as we all know from Brahma Samhita, that there is the spiritual world and there is the material world. And the material world, according to Lord Brahma, it is one fourth of the spiritual world. So 3/4 is spiritual world, 1/4 is material world, 25%. Other 75% is spiritual world. Now, to comprehend this concept is not easy for us, because we don't have the brain power to go into the depths. Because again in Brahma Samhita it is explained that the spiritual world is ever expanding. Now if the spiritual world is ever expanding, then I would assume, as a simple mathematician, that the material world would equally expand in proportionate. So the proportion will always remain 3/4 to 1/4, 75% to 25%. So 75% increase to say double, then 25% will also increase to double. But then ultimately the formula is still the same, proportion is same, 3/4 to 1/4. Now the purpose of creating this material world, anybody has answer to that?
First chapter and 20th verse, here Srila Prabhupada writes in purport, it is clearly stated that here that the material world is not created by the personal will of the Supreme Lord, it is created by his external energy, because the living entities want to enjoy it.
Yeah, no. This is the definition Prabhupada has given, that it is created by the external energy of the Lord. But why that creation took place? And of course, Prabhupada sent us that for enjoying. Yes, Prabhu. No, it's not rectification. See, the whole idea is, or the concept of Prabhupada says, the living entity is quite happy in the spiritual world with Krishna. And in the spiritual world, as Brahma Samhita explains, Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami, that he is the only Purusha. Of course, Purusha means the enjoyer. As I started in the beginning, saying that the Supreme Lord has that enjoying spirit. He is the supreme enjoyer. We also have that spirit of enjoyment. But our enjoyment is limited to Krishna's enjoyment. If we are the cause of Krishna's enjoyment, then Krishna enjoys, and because now Krishna is enjoying, we automatically get that experience of enjoying. You see. So, in our mundane world, because we are so much illusioned, thinking I am the controller, Aham Ishwara, that I am the supreme, then we try to load it over everything, and we become completely under illusion and frustrated, life after life, birth after birth, trying. So here, of course, Hiranyaksha is not an ordinary personality. He is you can say a Nitya Siddha. Because unless and until you are a fully liberated soul, you cannot be the gatekeeper of Vaikuntha. In order to become a personal servant in Vaikuntha, you have to qualify to go to Vaikuntha. That is why we are here practicing Bhakti Yoga, so that we become free from this illusion of I and mine, this body and all these things. And when we are free from this, then the Lord says, okay, now that you have understood your position, come home. Come home, back to Godhead. And when you go to the spiritual world, then you discard this material body of Panchabhuta and you go with your spiritual body, which is not made of mundane material. Okay. Now, here is the question, is that the Lord created these planetary systems to fulfill the desires of all different levels of mutations of enjoyment. And therefore, at least on this planet Earth, we have the understanding that there is 8,400,000 species of life. That means, in my little tiny brain, I am concluding this, that there are 8,400,000 different desires which needs to be fulfilled. So, according to whichever desire you are prominent in, that particular body is awarded to you. So, of course, I think that this human body is awarded to us because we have that prominent desire to become Ishwara. So, we want to lord over everything. So, we have been given this body. And along with that, we have many other minor desires. But the point is that to fulfill the desires of the living entity, the Lord has created this. So, I give this example that the Lord has created this wonderful stage for us, which we call the material world. And He gives us the intelligence to go and play act. Whatever you want, you can act as whatever you like, you can act to your fulfillment. And after you are frustrated with trying to fulfill all your sort of enjoyment spirit separate from Krishna, then you come to a point of realization. This realization is mentioned by Vedavyas in his Brahma Sutra, Athato Brahma Jignasha. Therefore, now inquire into Brahman, higher knowledge, because now you have come to that realization. That's why Vedavyas is writing the Brahma Sutra, and the first aphorism, he starts the sentence, Athato, therefore. So now Vedavyas is assuming that you have reached certain level of understanding, and therefore you are now going to go further, because you have to come to some point before you go further. You can't just jump from down all the way up. You have to climb first step, second step, third step, and you reach certain level, then you can go advance little more. So this frustration is there, and as when we are completely frustrated by play acting in this material world to enjoy separate, then realization comes, awakening comes. And this sometimes this awakening comes by our own frustration and meditating, that must be something other than what I am doing. So because we have this ability to analyze things. That is also a given intelligence to us, to analyze things. So when you come to that level of analytical conclusions, that there must be something other than what I am doing, because this is not bringing any success to me, then you look to the skies and say, there must be some higher things here. Athato Brahma Jignasha. So in order to bring the whole planetary system back into balance, otherwise it will upset the Lord's plans. So the Lord brought the earth out, and Hiranyakashipu was not very happy, saying, who is this character? Now imagine just us. If we are faced with a huge boar right in front of you, would you think that this person is any better than you? Obviously you would think you are superior to the boar. So Hiranyakashipu is thinking, I am superior to the boar. I will destroy him. So he's using his power as we just studied from verse 14 to 19, that how he was so much eager to smash the body of Lord Varaha, and he is attacking. But of course Lord Varaha is not an ordinary personality, he's the Supreme Lord. So he's dodging but sometimes Lord also is very competitive, that he wants to make sure that his opponents get some fair chance. Otherwise it's a unfair duel. If some very weakling guy comes and you are Mr. Universe and you just thump him, then there's no excitement in that. You see, you have to have some equal. So the Lord begins to take few blows on his body. Now, of course, from our transcendental understanding, the Lord is not an ordinary body like you and I. Anybody in the material world, whichever body you take, even Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, or whatever material body you take, it is made basically of Panchabhutas, 5 material elements. But the Lord is not made of Panchabhutas. He is spiritual. He is not material. Even though he is spiritual, but here, because he is giving a fair competition to Hiranyaksha, as in the verse is mentioned that he was bleeding. Now, of course, the Lord cannot bleed, because in his veins there is no blood. His blood is in your and my vein, because we need the oxygen, and the oxygen through your nose, through your lungs, goes into the blood and carries down the body and takes the process of working of the body. The Lord body is not requiring oxygen. So he is fighting, and there is a tremendous battle between the two. As I said, the Lord is a very fair person. He will give you chance to feel that you are equal to him. Because if in the very beginning, the Lord shows his prowess, and you look at the Lord and say, oh well, yeah, I'm not going to fight him. No chance. Then the rasa which the Lord would enjoy of fighting with Hiranyaksha would not take place. As I said, the Lord has tremendous enjoying spirit, and he wants to enjoy. And as I said, there are many different forms of enjoyment. So one of the enjoyment is the pleasure of fighting and winning victory. Of course, this is not a kind of a malice of fighting for some what's the word to use there here, is to put someone down, or like wars. We are having wars now. It's just killing. This wasn't a killing spirit. It was a sporting event. So we know that when the Olympics takes place, there's different kinds of sporting events. There is the wrestling, there is the boxing, and nowadays they are also introducing the martial arts, all different kinds. So there are two opponents, and each one is there to win the gold medal, and they will do their level best to subdue their opponent, but not to kill the opponent. So here, the Lord is in the same spirit, that I will toy with Hiranyaksha and enjoy this feeling of prowess. At the same time, he's giving Hiranyaksha the power of thinking that he can win. So he is also becoming more ferocious and giving blows to the Lord with his mace, and this battle is ensuing. And then finally, the Lord says, "Okay, time for your liberation." Because if you go back into the Bhagavatam, when the 4 Kumaras cursed Jai and Vijay, then Jai and Vijay were not too happy by the curse. So they asked a boon from the Lord. The Lord said, "Okay, don't worry. Since the Kumaras is also my devotees, their curse will not go in vain, because I am obliged to fulfill the order of my devotees. I cannot make them fail in their whatever they say, because the Lord, as Prabhupada explains, the Lord becomes subservient to his devotee. Although we say Jivere Swarupa Krishna Nityadas, we are eternally servant of Krishna, but this servant of Krishna is different in understanding, not our mundane understanding. Our mundane understanding is, if I have a servant, say, "Hey, come here, do this, do that," and you kind of order around. The Lord is not ordering us, because Lord very clearly says in the Bhagavad Gita, "Ye yatha mam prapayante," that as you are serving me, I will serve you. And Prabhupada actually says, very nicely explains, that Lord is more eager to serve his devotee than his devotees are eager to serve him. That is a reciprocation. And this reciprocation of service is not something of like a slave and a master. It is a service means loving exchange. So when the devotee serves the Lord, out of love for the Lord, he is serving the Lord. And the Lord is reciprocating and in kind, and he is also serving you with love. And there is a loving bond. So the service is love. So, Jai Vijay were promised that you have to go and fulfill this curse. But I give you option. Option 1, you take 7 times birth as my devotee, and you will relish all your different interactions as my devotee in the material world. Or you have option 2, you take birth 3 times as a demon, and as a devotee 7 times. Now, Jai and Vijay are very, very calculative people. They think 7 times is too long a time to be separated from the Lord. Even though we will be there as devotees, but we will miss our service, because that service which is granted to them is an eternal service of gatekeeper of Vaikuntha. Now, as devotees, we should understand that if by the mercy of the Lord he engages us in some service, we should be eager to take that service as a lifetime commitment. Not that I will serve temporary and then I will move on to another service and I will move on to another service. If you have that attitude, what will happen is the Lord says, no problem. The world is your stage. Keep changing your service. Even as devotees, keep changing. But you will never come to that eternal point. But when you say fix, that's why even in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Eka Kuru Nandana, be focused, resolute in purpose. So be fixed in your service. And that's all. See, once we have a service, that service is everything to us. There is life and soul. But if you are jumping like a monkey from this tree to this tree to this branch to that branch, thinking mangoes here are sweet, mangoes here are sweet, you will keep enjoying the mangoes, but you won't get the relishing, transcendental, loving exchange of the Lord. So the Lord promised them that I will come and deliver you. So after toying with the Hiranyaksha, said, okay, enough. I have fulfilled my enjoyment, and I am seeing you are struggling and suffering from the blows I have given you. I will free you now from this. So the Lord delivers him, and he goes back to the spiritual world. Well, not quite spiritual world, because he's got to take a few more births before he goes. So the point is that this whole exchange of leelas is there to give us confidence that we will also get deliverance from the Lord, by the Lord, from this material world, because we are also being toyed not by the Lord but by Lord's external energy. And of course Lord's external energy is also part of the Lord's energy. But the Lord is saying, I don't want to mess around with all you guys. I only come to mess around with some special guys. But for the masses, I have my subservients. They will come and toy with you. And we have been toyed all our lives, birth after birth, in this material world, until finally, in 1965, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami Prabhupada, sitting in Radha Damodar temple thinking, what am I doing here? My purpose is to fulfill the order of my Guru Maharaj. Take this message to the world. So Prabhupada left India in 1965 and arrived on the shores of the New World, what everybody thinks today as the most powerful country. But now we are finding it is not a very powerful country. It is thinking just like Hiranyaksha. It is powerful, but it is not powerful. There are many other powerful sources around. Anyway, the point what I want to make is that Srila Prabhupada, he brought this mercy to all of us. And because of his simple desire to fulfill the order of his spiritual master, and the order of his spiritual master is this order of his spiritual master, ultimately goes to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the Supreme Lord himself. And the Supreme Lord himself, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his only purpose was to deliver the living entities who are in a miserable condition. Patita pavana hetu tava avatar, that he has come to save the most fallen, Now, unless until we consider ourselves the most fallen, there is no hope for us. Because we go with pride. I am a devotee of Krishna. I am not fallen. Prabhu, respect me. Then Krishna says, okay, you will get your respect. You will get honor. You will get pratishtha. But you won't get my shelter. So in this illusion we are going around. So we have to come to that understanding that we are the most fallen living entities and we fall at the feet of Vaishnavas. Because the dust of the Vaishnava is what will give you the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the point I want to make is that Prabhupada, he came and he gave very freely, liberally. He did not consider whether you are qualified or not qualified. He was simply distributing the mercy which he received from his spiritual master. So our duty is to go and spread this mercy to all. If you really want to become a recipient of the transcendental mercy of the Supreme Lord, then we have to become the distributor of this mercy. Not take the mercy for ourselves and sit down in our kushi bhajan kutirs and do bhajan. If you do that, you will become known as a selfish person. Bhakti means selfless. We have become very selfless and give out mercy. So we have to go out and distribute this mercy. This is the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sartha kari karo paro upakar. So in the process of practicing bhakti, we also have to do para-upkar to others. And when we go to others, what can we give them? Really, we don't have much to give. Except for small realizations that I am a small tiny spark and I have come to Krishna consciousness to take shelter of the Supreme Lord. And by serving Him, hopefully I will be free from this engagement of the material world and go back home, back to Godhead. That is our motives. Otherwise, we won't come here. Because that is that golden carrot in front of us. Goloka. Come to Goloka. So, of course, we have to go out and preach. As I was saying yesterday in Radhapartha temple, that there's three most important aspects of distributing mercy. One is Harinam. It's most important because the Lord Himself, the Supreme Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, He was going on Harinams. He could have very easily said in a very comfortable situation, saying to his expansion, Nityananda Prabhu, hey Nityananda, take out a Sankirtan party. And Nityananda would say, yes, my Lord. And he would say, hey Gadadhar Pandit, take the Sankirtan party. And then they would say, Sarup Damodar, you take party. And they would pass down to others to go on. No. The Lord Himself went on Harinam. So to go on Harinam is the most transcendental activity which we can perform for our own purification and then purifying others. Because if it's suitable and fit enough for the Lord Himself to do that, then who are we? So Harinam is most important aspect of our preaching. Sometimes people are a bit shy to go out in Harinam and think, become a bit self-conscious. But come what may, you should go out in Harinam. And if you go out on Harinam, then you will be the first recipient of Lord Chaitanya's mercy because you are doing what He wants you to do. And you will become very blissful in any condition. Because in the material world we are going to be facing so many difficulties from the three modes of material nature. That is no exemption from that. But if you take shelter of the Lord, then of course there is some respite, you can say. So Harinam. Second is prasadam distribution. Now of course, we have now become a little bit more distributing so-called food for life programs for going out and feeding the poor people who are needy. Now this is injustice. Because whatever those people who are wealthy, do they not are recipient of Krishna's mercy? We should not give mercy to them. Because Mahaprabhu is saying, Sartha kari karo para upkar. He's saying to everyone. So, I think that in our movement we have misunderstanding this concept of food for life program. That we go and feed the poor and the needy. No. Yes, that is part of it. But we go out and distribute prasadam to all. In Antya Leela of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Prabhupada says, prasadam is very powerful weapon in conquering the illusionary energy. Now, if you give very nice prasadam to someone, I don't think there is any one person in this material world who would refuse it. Of course, sometimes they have some bias against a religious practice, so they won't take it. If you say, "Oh, this is prasadam," what is this prasadam? Oh, this is food offered to God. No, I don't want. But we don't have to tell them this is prasadam. We know it's prasadam. The Lord knows this is prasadam. You give it to him. So, one time we were doing Rath Yatra in Switzerland, in Zurich. And our Rath Yatra is not like the normal Rath Yatras in the streets, because we will go to the park, and due to the circumstances, there are a lot of people sitting by the lake in the park. And we have lots and lots of fruits, oranges, bananas, apples. And the devotees go to the people and sing, "Here, why are you giving this?" Because they are not poor people, they are well-to-do people, they can afford to buy their own food, so they are not hungry people. But we say, this is an offering of friendship. And when you say this is an offering of friendship, "Oh, thank you very much," and they shake your hand, and we say, "Hare Krishna," "Oh, Hare Krishna to you, my friend." So you see, they are honoring a devotee, so they get the blessings of respecting a devotee. They are receiving prasadam, so that is mercy of the Lord. In all, they very happily accept, because we are giving them prasadam in the form of friendship. So when you give that, it's wonderful. But we don't discriminate that only for the poor and the needy. Give to everyone. So prasadam distribution. And most important, jnana distribution. Jnana distribution through the books. Prabhupada said these books are the basis. I may preach for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. Sometimes I can preach for over 20 hours. If the audience is ready to hear for 20 hours, because after 15 minutes of first 15 minutes, there is a span of attention goes all over the world. Body is here, the mind is elsewhere. But Prabhupada said, anybody who even touches this transcendental literature, they are touching the transcendental body of the Lord. They get blessings. And they become automatically attached to it. Then Prabhupada said, even if they read one word of this book, one page, one word, they will benefit. So it is our duty to go out and distribute these books to everyone. Sometimes you may get rejection, but that is because you think, okay, Maya is a little stronger here. I have to break the barrier and penetrate beyond the barrier of Maya and consider this living entity a recipient of Lord's mercy. So somehow I have to make arrangements. So of course, God has, the Supreme Lord has given us intelligence, which we use to make very, very different arrangements to entice people to take these books. But of course, we should not cheat them. How much time we have? Take just quick one very important aspect of this book distribution. In the early days, there were devotees who were so eager to distribute books, because Prabhupada said, when you distribute these books, it very much pleases me. So the devotees were very, very eager to please Srila Prabhupada. So when they say, Prabhupada, I distributed 50 Bhagavad Gitas, they would go, oh, Prabhupada with a big smile saying, very nice. Go and distribute more. And so they would get this reciprocation from Prabhupada. So in eagerness to distribute books, they were using all kinds of cheating methods. They would tell this book is about this and that and other, and they would cheat people. Now the person would take the book, because he's been temporarily kind of illusionary powers of the devotee. He's takes the book, he gives you some contribution, you come home to the manor or the temple, and then you say, oh Prabhupada, look, I distributed books. But the person who received the book, he opens the book and he's reading. Of course, he's getting benefit by reading, but he's feeling cheated. Because said, the person who sold this book to me on the street, he lied to me. Then, of course, in the book, it's very clearly mentioned, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So they say these Hare Krishna people are cheaters and liars. We are not cheaters and liars. We are sincerely trying to give someone knowledge to free them from their cheating coverings. So we should not create that kind of feeling of being cheated, because then as soon as someone says the Hare Krishnas are cheaters, they are what they are doing? They are committing an aparad against the Vaishnava. And who is the cause of this aparad? The Vaishnava himself. So we should not be the cause of the aparad, because the other person may do aparad and he will get his up and comings, but because you are the cause of that aparad also, you also get reaction for it. So we have to be honest, and with honesty you can conquer everyone. So book distribution, with honesty you go out there, and if you go with sincere desire that, dear Lord, today I am going out for book distribution, please allow me to distribute some books to foreign living entities. After all, you are in their heart. Then if you have got a sincere desire, Krishna will open the heart of the other person and say, yes, take this book. Because we are now doing the service of the Lord to please Him. Harinam Sankirtan in many different ways. So, please take this very seriously. This is something which is given to us as a very, very priceless gift. Prasadam distribution, Harinams, and book distribution. And if you do these three things in your life till your last breath, the gates to the Vaikunthas, forget Vaikuntha, Goloka, will open up. And who is there standing right in front of the gate? Not Jai and Vijay, but Lord Himself. And He will embrace you. And when the Lord embraces you, we have reached perfection. So we should be eager to embrace the Lord. Otherwise, we may take birth like Hiranyaksha, and we are not fortunate enough that the Lord has blessed us that He will come and deliver us personally. He promised Jai and Vijay that He will personally come, but for us, still, the Lord said, I will deliver you, but through different mediums. So our deliverance is His divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami Prabhupada. Never forget that Prabhupada is our deliverer. He will deliver us. And how He is delivering us? By He giving blessings to His disciples, and His disciples giving a blessing to His disciples, and His disciples in the paramparic line, and the mercy is flowing. And the mercy will keep flowing as long as you are connected to the parampara. The minute you are separate from the parampara, then there is a breakage and mercy stops flowing. So keep your connection strong and mercy will keep flowing. On that note, I'll thank you all very much for your kind attention and giving this opportunity to speak something what I have realized in my spiritual practice. I hope it is of some help to you. Hare Krishna. So any comments or any questions?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dandavat
Hare
pranam.
Krishna.
Sorry Maharaj, Dandavat pranam.
आवाज नहीं आ रहा है.
My question Maharaj is that I was thinking like what was going in mind of Jai Vijay as you described in your lecture momentarily, that Jai Vijay decided to choose a birth of 3 times of Asura as a birth in comparison to 7 times as a devotee. So when I heard in some of my lectures, some of the devotees' lectures, is that there is no difference in Vaikuntha or here in this material world if you are serving the Lord as a devotee with affection and surrender. Because whatever you are doing as a devotee here will also be same as in the spiritual planet. Secondly is that our acharyas like Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that it's okay for me to born as a worm, even if as long as I am a devotee of yours. And he says, Bahir Mukha Brahma Janme Nahi Aas, which means that I do not care if I don't want to be Brahma if he is averse to you. So as long as I am a devotee, it doesn't matter where I am. So when Jai Vijay chose to be Asura as compared to a devotee, so I am not able to understand these two comparisons.
Well, it's very simple. First of all, you see, Jai and Vijay, they were thinking 7 times, means I have to take birth 7 times. And 7 different individual times. Now, of course, we are thinking 7 births. If you live your full life in this material world in present yuga, 100 years. So at the most 700 years. But 700 years as a devotee is not too long. But remember that the cosmic time scale is different. Brahma is living for 100 Brahma years. So if he had to take birth as Brahma 7 times, can you imagine how much time period that would be a separation from the Lord? Now Lord Brahma is not an ordinary position because that position of Lord Brahma is granted to that living entity who is free from all contamination, a pure devotee of the Lord. He gets that position. Now when Lord Brahma gets his position as Lord Brahma, we all know that even Brahma sometimes becomes illusion. And you can forget your original goal. Of course, Krishna is very kind that he comes and reminds Brahma every so often that, hey, wake up, you're losing your way here. So, we should not take it that because Jai Vijay were given a choice that 7 times as a devotee, they would be very nicely situated in the material world as devotees and fully blissful. Even as devotees, you can very easily become a victim of the illusionary energy, of external energy of the Lord, Maya Devi. So, if you are, because the material world, as Srila Prabhupada explained, is the domain of the external energy. This is the controlling power here is Maya Devi or Durga. She is the controller here. And Krishna will not violate the jurisdiction of Maya Devi. So if you come here as a devotee and fell a victim of the external energy of the Lord, then you will be lost. You will give up your practices. We can see now that as Srila Prabhupada explains, that wherever the temple is situated, regardless of geographical location, wherever there is a temple, temple means there is Lord. Either Sri Gonitai, Sri Radha Krishna, in this case here we have Rukmini Dwarkadesh, and we have Lord Jagannath Baladev Subhadra, Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman, Lord Nrsimhadev, any Lord's manifestations in the temple as per our preaching. And the temple, Prabhupada says, is a place of Vaikuntha. Because wherever the Lord is, that place becomes Vaikuntha. Now, ideally, we are now sitting in Vaikuntha. What does Vaikuntha mean? A place where no anxiety rules. Now, honestly speaking, how many of us people sitting in this room here or this temple hall can say, I am free from all anxiety? We are in Vaikuntha, place of no anxiety. But do we have anxiety here? Of course, if we say no, we are liars. But even though being in Vaikuntha, we are still having anxiety. So, Jai and Vijay were thinking, seven lifetimes is too long a period. But 3 births is shorter, less than half the time of seven births. Secondly, they were thinking that Lord has promised that He will come and interact with us. He will not just abandon us as asuras or demons, but He will come and be participant with us. So we will always remember Him. Now see, after Hiranyaksha was killed by Lord Varaha, Hiranyakashipu became completely mad. And he's thinking, this Vishnu, 24/7 he's thinking, this Vishnu, I'm going to kill him. He's thinking of Vishnu. Even if you want to kill him, obviously you can't kill him. But the thought is Vishnu. He's thinking about the Supreme. So 24/7 he's thinking about the Supreme Lord. He's not forgetting the Supreme Lord. And the Supreme Lord says, in whichever condition you think about me, I will not take the negative aspect. I will only take the positive aspect. So even Hiranyakashipu was thinking, I'm going to kill this Vishnu. He's a troublesome. He killed my brother. And Krishna says, it's okay. You are still remembering me. I reciprocate with you. Yetamam prapayante. So he's not forgetting. Ravana, he has kidnapped Sita, but all the time he's thinking, this Ram, I'm going to kill him. Because as long as Ram is there, I cannot enjoy Sita. But of course, it's not going to be possible. But still he's always thinking of Ram. Likewise, all the Asurak births Giant Vijay took, they were always thinking of the Lord, because the Lord was very present in His manifestation in different pastimes. So they were not forgetful of it. So even as Asuras, they were not forgetting the Supreme Lord. But then the Supreme Lord, as I said in the beginning, is the Supreme Enjoyer. So He wanted to enjoy a sparring match, a sporting match. And you can only sport with your equal. So you have to invest the same power in the other person, so that it's a fair sporting game. Otherwise, it's one-sided game, is no fun in it. You may win the game, but it's no real big deal. But if you are two equals and you win the game, you say, wow, you see, I subdued my opponent. And you get pride of that. So the Lord wanted to enjoy this sporting event. Otherwise, you think Lord Ramachandra was sitting there and he gets the news that Sita has been kidnapped. He would just snap his finger and kill Ravana just like a mosquito between the two, thumb and a finger. No. But the whole Ramayana took place. What's the purpose of Ramayana? Because Lord wanted to enjoy this different spirit of sporting, and also within that, He wanted to teach us how to become perfect. So very soon we are going to celebrate Ram Navami, the appearance of Ram, and meditation should be on how to become like Ram, not become Ram, but become like Ram, and in qualities. Because as I said, we are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and therefore we can get the same qualities, not in quantity but quality. So Giant Vijay was thinking that too long a period, and a devotee never wants to be separated from the Supreme Lord. And my understanding is that Giant Vijay was thinking that longer we are away from Vaikuntha, then we won't be able to do our service. So service is the most important aspect. That is what connects us with the Supreme Lord. The loving exchanges and devotional spirit of serving. And that service is their eternal service. So if they are, for momentarily, they are separated from their service, they will feel unhappy. So I'll quickly go down there 3 times, boom, 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 come back. And then now I'm doing my service. I will be happy. So it's just like, you take a fish out of water, will struggle and suffer. Put a fish back in the water is happy. So Giant Vijay was thinking, I'm like a fish out of water here. If I'm out of Vaikuntha and out of my service, I won't be happy. I want to come back as quick as possible. So any intelligent person would choose the shortest path, not the longest path. Hare Krishna. Okay? All right, thank you very much for your generous time you have given to me. Hare Krishna.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
His Holiness Mahatma Nivedana Swami Maharaj Ji ki Jai. Let's be our gratitude to Maharaj by chanting Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Thank you very much, Prabhu, for inviting me to your place. I don't know about being blessed, but I'm blessed certainly.